So, you want to learn how to use AI agents. You want to learn how AI agents work. You want to learn it because it's the new crypto, it's the new e-com, it's the new thing, right? But you don't know where to start. And the easiest way to start is with the other AI, ChatGPT. All you have to do is ask AI, how do I start practicing agents? But let's go one layer deeper than that, because the more context that you give AI, the better it performs in almost all circumstances, especially with the newer AI models. This is a practice that's known as context engineering, which is giving the AI as much information as it needs to in order to be able to do its job as effectively as possible. Prompt engineering may have been the thing 2023, 2024, and a little bit in 2025, but context engineering is much more important than prompt engineering when you're using the newest AI models from OpenAI, from Anthropic, from Google. So what you want to do is start off with a project. Start off with something simple. I'd recommend building a website for the first time, and it's really simple. I'm going to use dictation for this, but you can, type it in like a normal person would. How do I use AI agents to build a website? That simple, right? It's not how do I use AI agents, it's how do I use AI agents to do something. And it tells you exactly how to do it. I'm using a temporary chat because my normal chat has tons of context, and I want to show you guys what it would look like if you guys are using ChatGPT for the first time, right? So the first thing, define the site, write a one-page spec. What is it that you want? That's the first thing, context engineering. The first thing it's telling you to do is define the spec. How are you going to do it? Use an agent to create the plan. Okay, but what is an agent, right? What is an AI agent though? How do I use it? An AI agent is basically an LLM tool's memory and autonomy, right? To put it simply, an AI agent is a chatbot, but it has access to your computer or a computer, right? Which means that it's able to spit out code and spit out commands, and those commands can actually do things on the computer. And so I'm sure you've seen AI spit out code, but the code just sits there, it doesn't do anything. Agents are able to use that code and turn it into commands that actually do things on the computer. And so you go through and whenever you don't understand something, you just ask it, hey, what is cursor? And then it tells you, this is what cursor is. Here's how cursor works. Whenever you don't understand something, you just ask it, right? So you go back up to the top and you just follow the steps. And anytime you don't really understand what it is that you're doing, you ask it, why is it that I'm doing this? Why am I doing that? Why am I not doing something else? How does this work? You just ask AI what it is that you're doing as it's guiding you through the steps. And if you don't understand something, ask it. And the reason that this works more than, taking a course or binge watching a bunch of videos online is because when you're learning things, one of the best ways to learn something is by actually doing it. So here's the learning pyramid, right? Lecture, what I'm doing right now. Reading, what you'll be doing if you're reading what ChatGPT's responses are. Audio-visual, seeing it, right? A presentation, demonstration, lots of YouTube videos that show demonstrations. But if you really want to actually learn, you just need to practice. Practice. And if you don't understand something, you ask it. And if you want to take it the next step, then you just go and teach your friend on how to build a website using AI agents. But you get 75% of it. You get 75% of the way there if you just practice by doing something. Building a website sounds like a lot, but the thing is, agents are so good now that they're able to do it in like a single try, right? 2 years ago, learning by trying to build something probably wouldn't have worked for most people who have never gotten into things like this, because it takes weeks to finally actually finish your project, and most people can't do it for weeks. But something like this can be done in a couple of days. And it's really easy to follow through with something to completion if it only takes a day or two to do it. Now, doing something like this isn't going to be free because you are spending money on the agent itself. But considering it'll probably only cost you $20 for a ChatGPT Plus subscription or a Claude subscription, that's going to be cheaper than any course you could possibly take. And you would learn so much more, and then you'd have an entire month of agent usage to be able to spend on more projects. And so once you've built a website, the next step would be, okay, how do I host a website so that other people can access it, right? You just go down the rabbit hole and you start building things. And if you don't understand what it is that's being built, ask it. That's the key to not just creating vibe-coded slop. You need to understand what it is that you're building and why you're building it. And when you don't understand it, again, ask. At this point, if you want to learn how to build things with AI agents, learning how to code probably isn't actually the best way to go about doing it, because agents can code so much faster than you're ever going to be able to learn. The thing that you want to learn is architecture, systems, how these systems interact with each other, the differences between different systems, what a stack means, what full stack means, front end, back end, all of those different things, and learning the concepts as opposed to the super detailed, granular implementation of the code itself. You don't need to learn the code. You need to learn the systems that make the code work. AI is able to handle the nitty-gritty coding part. What you want to do is you want to go up a layer, or 2 layers, or 3 layers, and learn the systems that allow the code itself to work. Now, of course, understanding a little bit of code is going to help. But if you don't want to learn how to code, you don't really need to in order to learn how to build things well. As long as you still understand what it is that you're doing to some degree. You don't need to learn code, but you should probably learn, best practices when it comes to software engineering, when it comes to development. What is the development process? Separating your testing from your production. Learning basic things like that is way faster and way simpler than learning the nitty-gritty of how to type out all that code by yourself before giving it to the AI. And if you don't know what your next project is after you've built a website, ask AI for ideas. If you don't like those ideas, ask it for different ones. Or you say, I have an interest in such and such a thing. I have an interest in fitness. How do I make a workout app? How do I make a nutrition app? What are different projects I can use that relate to this hobby so that you're actually interested in the project that you're trying to build? And by learning the different steps and the different architectures and the different systems that these agents use and build upon, and by writing things like, why did that not work, instead of fix it and make no mistakes, you're going to be a long way ahead of most other vibe coders who just tell the agent to build things without having any understanding of any of the systems that go on underneath. As long as you have just a basic understanding of the systems that are being built, of the different roles that each language, that each library, that all of the different pieces have, not necessarily the exact implementation, but once you understand the gist, right, you're able to understand, like, what is Postgres? It's for databases. Okay, cool. That is more, you already know more than a lot of other vibe coders who don't even know what Postgres is. And if you understand that Postgres is, usage and databases, then you understand, okay, that's why the agent decided to build with Postgres. When it comes to agents that are able to basically do anything you want, the name of the game is systems. Once you understand the system, generally, enough, you don't necessarily need to learn the fine details, as long as you understand the systems. And if you're still trying to look for the key prompts or the best prompts, you're missing out on what AI is meant to do. There's no special prompt anymore. Once you understand the why behind why things work, and not just the what to put in, you're going to be so much better equipped to build and learn how to use these things.